Okay, fine. So today we are going to start with ancient Indian history, and we'll continue with ancient India, and then we'll go to medieval history. In one session, we'll complete ancient and medieval India. Clear? Now, just understand before we start. All of you are comfortable with English, or you want me to speak Hindi also in between? Comfortable हैं आप लोग English में? Or you want me to speak Hindi as well? Fine, clear? So, first of all, I'll let you know, since these are the basic classes where the fundamentals are to be clear, we'll go to advanced classes and then we'll discuss about ancient medieval in quite elaborate way, clear? But since these are the basic, the initial classes, first of all, the purpose is to give you conceptual clarity and overall understanding of the subject. Clear? It will create a base on which you will build up the major advanced courses later on. Clear? So as far as the basic thing, the fundamental is concerned, with respect to history, the first and the most fundamental thing that has to be understood is that how history as a discipline is written, how history as a discipline has come into picture. Clear? When we study about history, what is the first thing that comes in my mind? Clear? It is the study of our past. Clear? But how the history of past has been written, how the history of the past has been reconstructed, we need to understand the methodology, we need to understand the process so as to understand how history has written and what has to be studied in history. Okay? So first of all, the most important ingredient to understand this subject is what are the major sources for the history. Okay? Since we are discussing about ancient history first of all, we'll discuss about sources of ancient Indian history. Okay? आप जब sources को समझ जाएंगे and how the sources are utilized by the scholars and the historians, history would become really interesting and you would be able to understand the nuances much better. Clear? Now coming to the sources on which historians in the past and even in present time has written the history of ancient India. Clear? As far as sources of ancient Indian history is concerned, these are broadly divided into two sections. Clear? One section is known as archaeological sources. Clear? Another section is known as literary sources. Clear? Archaeological sources means those sources which has been found through exploration and excavation. Clear? So by digging the surface of the earth or by exploring the new areas, we found some artifacts, we found some materials, we realize what is the importance of these materials, how these has been used in the past tradition. These are known as archaeological sources. Clear? Another broad source is known as literary sources. Clear? Ancient India people used to write. Clear? And we have large number of literature like the Rig Ved, the Samved, the Yajurved, the Puranas, and so on. Okay? Obviously, historians have used those sources also, that what was the belief, what was the practices of the people at that time, and what went on in the minds of the people at that time, which could be known through literary sources. Okay? So, two broad sources to understand ancient Indian history is first of all the archaeological sources and then followed by literary sources, or rather accompanied by literary sources. Okay? Today our lecture will largely be focusing on archaeological sources. Okay? Because archaeological sources in turn is divided into many other sources. Clear? So first of all, we'll understand the sources, then understanding ancient Indian history would become much more easier and interesting as well. Clear? So first of all, the major thing to be understood is the sources. Clear? So we'll take some brief notes also. Clear? If you read these notes along with NCERT, it would enable you to understand NCERT much easier to build the foundation. Okay? So first of all, coming to sources, I'll make you write. First of all, just understand. Okay? First major thing to be understood with respect to ancient Indian history is to understand about the sources. Okay? Sources broadly divided into two categories. One is known as archaeological sources, another is known as the literary sources. Clear? Today's our class will be largely based on archaeological sources. Clear? And then we'll go on to literary sources. Clear? Now under archaeological sources, just understand. Clear? First of all, we need to understand how the science of archaeology started in India. Who started the science of archaeology? And then we began to find large number of articles produced by human people or human beings. Clear? The science of archaeology basically means digging the surface of the earth to find some things created by past or created in the past by human beings. Okay? This science of archaeology can be traced back during British rule in India. Okay? There was a British archaeologist and expert only named as Sir Alexander Cunningham. Okay? In the year 1861, he established an institution in India which is known as Archaeological Survey of India or ASI. Okay? Purpose of ASI was to go for geographical excavation in different parts of India, to unearth several articles and then to know about Indian culture. Okay? Why British were interested to know about Indian culture? Because they realized if we know about Indian culture, we will be able to rule over Indian people much more easily rather than facing resistance or rebellions by the native people. Okay? So Alexander Cunningham with just objective established Archaeological Survey of India. Okay? But such excavations beneath the surface of the earth, it includes huge expenditure also. Okay? British were not ready to make huge expenses in archaeological science. Okay? So Archaeological Survey of India remained to be defunct for several years, that is without any utility. Okay? This organization was revived once again in 1902 by another British expert known as Sir John Marshall. Okay? And Sir John Marshall, when he revived Archaeological Survey of India, exploration, excavation began to take place in Indian subcontinent. Okay? New things began to be found really from 1902 and we began to know about past traditions of India. Clear? Now, what were the sources which were found after digging the surface of the earth through institutions like Archaeological Survey of India, which enables us to know about the past traditions of India. Clear? Among these sources, the most authentic one, the most important one, which is known as the lifeblood of the history. Clear? History cannot be written in ancient India without this source. Clear? That most important archaeological source are inscriptions found. Clear? Inscriptions are something written on solid surface. Clear? Largely written on rock surface, like rocks, even pillars also. Clear? Inscriptions were also written on metal surface, like iron objects also. Clear? Why they are the most authentic one? Because once written, it cannot be altered. Clear? So they are considered to be primary source to understand history without any alteration, without any changes. Clear? So first major thing which has been unearthed through archaeological science has been the inscriptions in different parts of Indian subcontinent. We'll look into those major inscriptions, we'll look into the major ones used to reconstruct history, and these are the first major sources under archaeological category. Clear? Coming to the inscriptions, the importance of inscriptions, then we'll go on to discuss about major inscriptions of ancient India. In fact, the greatest ruler Ashoka is known to us through his inscriptions only, which are divided into 14 major rock edicts, 14 minor rock edicts, and even 7 pillar edicts. Clear? We'll come to inscriptions written by Meiji rulers, including Ashoka as well. Clear? So first thing to understand in history are the sources. Clear? Then only we'll understand what rulers did in ancient India, because all these are mentioned in these sources. Clear? So archaeological sources, within that the most important being inscriptions. The study of inscriptions is also known as epigraphy. Clear? We'll come to the science of epigraphy or study of inscriptions. This one aspect is clear. First of all, the basic thing. Clear? Write briefly about sources of history. Clear? Write introduction, heading as. Clear? Write sources of ancient Indian history. Sources of ancient Indian history. Sources of ancient Indian history. बहुत बेसिक से समझिए. Clear? And if anything is not clear, just feel free to ask. Clear? Because these are foundation classes. You have to build the base here itself. Clear? History. Clear? That history is a pure, it's not a humanity. History is a pure scientific discipline. History is a pure scientific discipline based on concrete evidences. It's not fiction, it's not story. Clear? Based on concrete evidences. Full stop. Close the sentence. Clear? Evidences. Clear? Right. Throughout ancient India, throughout ancient India, large number of historical sources, were available, that began to be used, for history writing, especially in modern times, Clear? Paragraph badal dijiye. Change the paragraph. Clear? Right. The sources of ancient Indian history, is broadly divided into archaeological sources, and the literary sources, Clear? Right. The archaeological sources began to be used with the formation of the Archaeological Survey of India, in 1861, by Alexander Cunningham. Okay? Right. However, due to lack of funds, it could not continue. Okay. Right. It was revived in 1902. By another British expert. Sir John Marshall. Sir John Marshall. Clear? Paragraph फिर बदल लीजिए. Like next one. Clear? Right. The most important archaeological source for historical reconstruction, are inscriptions. Now just wait from here. Clear? We'll come to inscriptions now. Clear? So what are inscriptions? First of all, why they are the most authentic one? We need to understand here. Clear? Say inscriptions are termed as the lifeblood of history, arteries of history. Clear? It's life sustaining in way for subject of history. Why? Clear? Because there were many rulers and leading personalities throughout ancient India who tried to convey his message to the people through inscriptions. Clear? Practically speaking, it was not possible for a ruler to go to the entire people to convey his message. So what he did was, he got his message written on rock surface, pillar surface, got the pillars and rocks placed at important locations so that people could read and understand the message of the ruler and leading personalities. Clear? And since these are written on solid surface like rock surface, clear, it has survived till present times without any changes, and therefore they are known as authentic and primary source of historical reconstruction in India. Clear? The study of inscriptions in science of history is known as epigraphical study. Clear? This is known as science of epigraphy. Clear? Now coming to the important ones. Clear? In fact, the science of epigraphy or inscriptions, clear, can be traced back in ancient India to a greatest ruler, that is Ashoka. Clear? In fact, he was the first one to talk to his subject through inscriptions. Clear? Ashoka was a ruler belonging to Mauryan Empire. Clear? He ruled from 269 BC till 232 BC. Clear? What do you mean by BC and AD? Clear? Why this distinction has been done by scholars, historians? We'll understand first of all the concept also. Clear? What is the difference, or why this distinction between BC and AD has been done in history? Basic thing. Why this has been done? Why some years are counted as BC, some years as AD, before Christ and after the death or under dominion? About birth of the Christ. Okay, birth of Jesus Christ, birth of Christianity marked the beginning of positive counting, which is known as Christian era also. AD is also known as Christian era. True. Event is right. Clear? But what is the logic? Why it has been done? Formulate a timeline for a particular event. Why all are here? We all are here, first of all. The most fundamental thing. Why all of you are sitting here? Why I'm here for all of you? What is the reason? For a class. Why do we need a class? Basic thing. Why do we need a class? NCERTs are available everywhere. See, point here is clear. Purpose is to simplify anything. Clear? Purpose is not to complicate anything. Clear? In fact, if you simplify anything, you will understand things in a much better way. Clear? So obviously, purpose here is to simplify the subject so that it may become more comprehensive to you, more understandable to you. Clear? The purpose is this. Clear? The real purpose challenge is to simplify anything. Clear? In fact, why I'm discussing this? Clear? This has been done by historians to simplify the sequence of human evolution. Clear? For instance, I'll let you know. Clear? The first evidence of human being in Indian subcontinent across the world, it was around 5 lakh BC. Clear? 5 lakh BC when Ice Age was going on. Clear? And even minute changes consume 1000, 2000 years. Clear? Yadi we do have counted the years from 5000 till now. Clear? We would not be sitting in 2025. We could have had some large figure with us. Clear? And this large figure could have rather created difficulty for calculation also. Clear? How could we simplify the things to children, to students? Clear? Because obviously starting from 0 or 1 from there. Clear? Obviously 5 lakh BC and then 2000 here, this also. Clear? Count or add them. Clear? You would have a long figure, large figure, complicated figure. How you count things? It was not possible altogether. Clear? So obviously we realize those geological phenomena that consumed thousands of years in a single event. Clear? Let us count them in reverse order. Clear? And reach a point whereby we can start the positive counting to simplify the process of making the years or chronology. Clear? So all the geological era, clear, they were taken in negative counting. Clear? We started reverse counting. 5 lakh BC, 4 lakh BC, 3 lakh, 2 lakh, 1 lakh and so on. Clear? Ultimately we needed to reach a point. कहीं पे तो रुकना था हमें. What was the point that we stopped? We decided to stop. We decided to stop at the point where Christianity was established by Jesus Christ. Clear? We decided to have a positive counting from there. Europeans decided to have a positive counting from there. Clear? So from there they started the positive counting, that is 0. So before that it was all negative counting. From there we started the positive counting, clear? And therefore this era which started with the birth of Jesus Christ or Christianity, this era is also known as Christian era. This is also known as AD, clear? And from there we started AD. That is why we are sitting in 2025. Purpose is to simplify things. Purpose is not to complicate the things, clear? This is the real objective of making this difference between BC and AD, clear? And it's not with Christianity, it's known as Christian era, clear? Every religion has their own calendar. Every religion has their own era, clear? And that is not same as the Christian era, clear? In fact, the Hindi calendar, which is largely followed by the religions of Hinduism, followers of Hinduism, this starts from 78 AD. It's 78 years before, back then, the Christian era, clear? This era was started by Kanishk in India, clear? So Hindi calendar, which also has 12 months, it starts from 78 AD. 78 years back then, Christian era. Leave aside that, clear? Islamic calendar, which is known as Hijri calendar, starts from 622 AD, when Islam was established by Prophet Muhammad, clear? Therefore, Islamic calendar is 622 years back from, or rather ahead, back from the Christian calendar, clear? So every religion has their own calendar, own year, own era, clear? It is not same, clear? It varies with establishment of religion, clear? Sikhism has their own era, own calendar, clear? Christianity starts from here, so this era is known as Christian era. Since it is an first era promoted all across the world, we largely follow this calendar which is known as Gregorian calendar, clear? But apart from Gregorian calendar, we have Hindi calendar also, we have Islamic calendar also, we have Sikh calendar also, and all of them follow their own eras, clear? But ultimate purpose is to simplify the process, clear? We cannot count on from 5 lakh BC. We needed to count somewhere from midway, and that midway was the birth of Christianity. That's known as Christian era, clear? Now Ashoka was in before Christ era, BC era, clear? Ashoka ruled from 269 to 232 BC, clear? Ashoka established a large empire, clear? Practically speaking, it was not possible for him to go to large empire to express his message, clear? He wanted to integrate large number of people. He wanted to convey the message through rock inscriptions, clear? He got all his messages written on rock surfaces, clear? And these inscriptions were placed at important locations, clear? These inscriptions are known as edicts also known as Ashokan edicts. Why do we call these edicts? Because any inscription which is written by royal person, the ruler, those inscriptions are known as edicts. And if anything is written by a common person, we normally call it to be inscriptions, clear? So Ashokan edicts were written all across the Mauryan Empire. These inscriptions were written in Brahmi script and Prakrit language, not Sanskrit, clear? Why he did not use Sanskrit? Because Sanskrit was not known to everyone. But Brahmi script and Prakrit language was a common language among masses. So he wanted the masses to understand his message. So most of his inscriptions were written in Brahmi script and Prakrit language. In northwestern part of India, some inscriptions were written in Aramaic script language and Kharoshti script, because that was popular in northwestern part of India, clear? So obviously those inscriptions are the real source to know about the greatest ruler of India, Ashoka, clear? And who solved the mystery of Ashoka inscription? Again a British officer, clear? An officer of British East India Company, James Prinsep, in 1837 solved the mystery. What was the mystery, clear? In all these Ashoka inscriptions, the name of Ashoka is not found, clear? Ashoka is referred by a title which is known as Dev Nam Piyadasi, which means dear to God, close to God, clear? But he was the person, James Prinsep, who realized Dev Nam Piyadasi is none other than Ashoka, clear? And that solved the entire mystery, and we came to know about Ashoka through his inscriptions, clear? So obviously inscriptions are the primary source to know about the greatest ruler, and therefore it serves as major source of Indian history, clear? This is inscription. This is only one example, clear? We have multiple examples after that, clear? We'll come to all those examples, but it starts with Ashoka, clear? In fact, Ashoka inscriptions are the first example of epigraphical source for ancient Indian history. Concept is clear first of all. Why he needed to write inscriptions, why he wrote the inscriptions in Prakrit language, not Sanskrit, why inscriptions are found in different parts of India, and why Ashoka inscriptions are known as edicts, clear? Because they are royal orders. They are not written by a common person. Is it fine? Please. Not literary sources. Okay, fine, clear. That's a very valid thing. Why we consider inscriptions under archaeology? Why not inscriptions under literature? Because anyway, it is something written. Clear? It is counted as archaeological sources because, clear, these were written not on semi-solid surface like the palm leaves or paper. Clear? These were written on solid rock surface. Clear? And these inscriptions are not above the surface. Clear? When we began to dig under archaeological science, we found large number of these pillars, large number of rock surfaces. Clear? When we brought this rock surfaces on top, we found that something is written on them. Clear? So obviously these sources were found after archaeological excavation of the surface of the earth. So it was not found as it is in literary sources or in the form of semi-solid surface or surface like paper and other things. Clear? And more importantly, these have not been destroyed due to climatic conditions. Clear? Literary sources. Clear? Why they have survived? They have survived in a unique fashion in India. Clear? When Vedic mantras or shlokas were composed by Aryans in India from 1500 BC, much before Ashoka also. Clear? How come they have survived? How they have reached to us? Clear? They were not written. Clear? They were passed from generation to generation through oral tradition. Clear? Brahmins mastered those mantras and shlokas. Clear? And they passed this to the generation through orally. Clear? And in fact, the mastery was so perfect that it being passed from generation to generation without any alteration. And therefore, this literature is known as Shruti literature. Clear? It was given a written form much later during Gupta period. And from Gupta period, they were written on surface like papers and all. Clear? And that is where they survived again from in form of papers. Clear? But that never went beneath the surface. Clear? But these sources went beneath the surface in course of time, and it has been excavated through archaeological science. So obviously we count it to be archaeological evidences. We don't count it under literary sources. It's clear. First of all, the concept inscriptions. Write about inscriptions few lines. Clear? Write inscription. Right, the study of inscriptions, the study of inscription, the study of inscriptions is known as the science of epigraphy, is known as the science of epigraphy, known as the science of epigraphy, which is considered to be the lifeblood of history, considered to be the lifeblood of history, life-sustaining lifeblood of history. That's the most authentic one, lifeblood of history. Clear? Right. Inscriptions were written. Inscriptions were written by Ashoka in ancient India. By Ashoka in ancient India to convey his message, especially principle of Dhamma, to convey his message to masses. Convey his message to masses. Now look into the picture. Clear? Inscriptions written on rock surfaces. Clear? Even on pillars also. Clear? This pillar is located in Vaishali. Vaishali is located in North Bihar. Clear? So these inscriptions are written solid surface. Clear? And that has not been altered. You will understand the beauty because all these records are available on rock surface. Clear? And after reading them, we know about the policies of Ashoka and other rulers as well. Clear? These are in form of inscriptions. Clear? Right, next. Right, Ashokan inscriptions are known as edicts. Ashokan inscriptions are known as edicts. E-D-I-C-T-S. Known as edicts. Are known as edicts. E-D-I-C-T-S. Edicts, as they are royal orders, not by a common person, as they are royal orders, royal proclamation, as they are Royal orders, orders, royal orders. Right, Ashokan inscriptions were written. Ashokan inscriptions were written in Brahmi script, written in Brahmi script and Prakrit language, Brahmi script and Prakrit language, which could be understood by masses. Understood by masses. Masses. Clear? Understood by masses. Right? These inscriptions were properly understood by a British officer, James Prinsep. British officer James Prinsep in 1837. James Prinsep in 1837. Ashoka inscriptions are major source, primary source, clear? Now just understand, clear? We'll proceed sequentially, clear? It's not only the one example, we have other examples also, clear? We'll take the major ones, clear? After the death of Ashoka died in the year 232 BC, clear? Mauryan Empire began to decline and disintegrate, clear? And within few years, the Mauryan Empire came to an end, clear? When Mauryans came to an end, clear, several warriors from Central Asia began to enter India from northwestern side, clear? In fact, one another concept that you need to understand here, clear? All invaders who has attacked India, they have attacked India only from one side, that is northwest frontier region of India, which is the only vulnerable region for India's security. Clear? India cannot be attacked from northern side as India is defended by Himalayas and its ranges till up to northeastern part. Clear? India also cannot be attacked from southern side as it is surrounded by large water bodies like the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean. Clear? There is only one vulnerable corner for India's security even now. That is the most vulnerable region for India's security. The recent attack in Pahalgam indicate very clearly. Clear? This has been the most vulnerable part of Indian subcontinent. Clear? All invaders has entered India only from this region, starting with Aryans as the first one, ending with rulers in modern India like Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali. All of them came from this region. Clear? And from this region only, several tribes from Central Asia came to India after the decline of Mauryans. Clear? One among them was the tribe of Shakas. Clear? Shakas came to North India from northwestern side, began to rule over the region of Gujarat in western part of India, and there was one Shaka ruler known as Rudradaman. Clear? Even though being a foreigner, Rudradaman mastered Sanskrit language in India and issued an inscription in pure Sanskrit, clear, which was not issued even by Ashoka. Clear? In fact, first pure Sanskrit inscription was issued by Rudradaman in India. This inscription is known popularly as Girnar inscription. It is also known as Junagarh inscription. And why this inscription is very important for history? Because in this inscription, he talks about construction and repair of a dam on a lake known as Sudarshan Lake in the Kathiawar region of Gujarat. Why dams were constructed right from ancient India? Gujarat is known as semi-arid region. So water conservation has always been a big challenge, and rulers right from ancient India went for water conservation in Gujarat region, and therefore dam was already there, which got destroyed because of natural calamity, and it was repaired by Rudradaman. He mentioned that especially in inscription written in Sanskrit, which is written in poetic form. Clear? Poetic form ko Hindi mein we call it Kavya style. Clear? So it is a Kavya style, it is a poetic style of inscription written in chaste Sanskrit, pure Sanskrit, which is known as Junagadh or Girnar inscription by Rudra Daman. Clear? This is another very important example to know about Shakas and Rudra Daman in ancient history. Clear? After Ashoka, he proved to be very important one. Clear? Then the science of epigraphy continued. Clear? After the Central Asian tribes ruled. Clear? One large kingdom was again established in North India known as the Gupta kingdom from 4th century AD. Clear? And one of the most powerful Gupta ruler was Samudragupta. Clear? Samudragupta never got defeated in his entire military career. Clear? And that is why his court poet named as Hari Sen wrote his biography on a rock surface. Clear? Biography in Sanskrit is known as Prashasti. Clear? This Prashasti, which glorifies Samudragupta, is written on a rock surface which is presently found at Allahabad or Prayagraj. Clear? And therefore it is known as Prayag Prashasti, is also known as Allahabad Prashasti. Clear? It contains 33 lines in Sanskrit and mentions about the military achievements of Samudragupta. And that is why, due to his military courage, Samudragupta is also known as the Napoleon of India. Clear? We know this thing only from inscription, which is known as Prayag Prashasti or Allahabad Prashasti. Clear? During Gupta period only, there was another ruler after Samudragupta known as Chandragupta II. Clear? And he wrote his inscription not on rock pillar. He wrote this inscription on iron pillar. And this iron pillar is presently located at Mehrauli in South Delhi in the Qutb complex. Clear? And that mentions about the achievements of Chandragupta II. Clear? These inscriptions has been used by historians to know about the past and important rulers and their policies, and they are the primary source to reconstruct ancient Indian history. Clear? Major ones. Not only Ashoka, we have Rudra Daman, we have Samudragupta, we have Chandragupta II. Clear? Important ones, major examples you should know. When you read NCERTs, you will get to know the importance of these inscriptions. Clear? Right, next paragraph. Clear? Right, after Ashoka, the science of epigraphy, after Ashoka, the science of epigraphy was promoted by the Shaka ruler, Rudra Daman. Shaka ruler Rudra Daman. He came from Central Asia. Shaka ruler Rudra Daman. Clear? Right. He issued a Sanskrit inscription. In Gujarat. Sanskrit inscription in Gujarat known as the Girnar or Junagadh inscription. Girnar or Junagadh inscription that mentions about the repair of a dam on Sudarshan Lake. Very important one. Change paragraph. Clear? That inscriptions were written. During Gupta period. Clear? Right. The military achievements of Samudragupta The military achievements of Samudragupta was written by Hari Sen. The military achievements of Samudragupta was written by Hari Sen. Hari Sen. Written by Hari Sen on a rock surface. On a rock surface as biography. Prashasti as biography. Biography. The Sanskrit term for biography is Prashasti. Clear? That this inscription is known as Prag Prashasti. This inscription is known as Prag Prashasti. Known as Prag Prashasti. Known as Prag Prashasti. Prashasti, which mentions that Samudragupta, never faced any defeat. Samudragupta never faced any defeat. Never faced any defeat, and he is known as the Napoleon of India. Known as the Napoleon of India. Clear? That similar inscriptions were written by Chandragupta II. Written by Chandragupta II on an iron pillar. It's not stone pillar. On an iron pillar. On an iron pillar. Written on an iron pillar, which is presently located at Mehrauli in South Delhi, which is presently located at Mehrauli in South Delhi. Mehrauli in South Delhi. What is so unique about this pillar? You visit Qutb complex. What is so unique about this pillar? Even after being exposed to rain, light and sunlight, it has not shown any sign of corrosion, rusting yet. Clear? That indicate metallurgical signs of Gupta period. Clear? So the most important thing about this pillar is it has not shown any sign of rusting or corrosion, even though being exposed to rain and sunlight for centuries. Clear? That's the beauty of iron pillar at Mehrauli, which mentions about King Chandra. King Chandra basically known as Chandragupta II. Clear? Iron pillar, inscriptions are written on this surface. You can look into closely, and these inscriptions enable us to understand what were the achievements of Chandragupta II clearly. Clear? These are some major examples of inscriptions. Clear? So obviously through inscriptions we can reconstruct the history of ancient India. Then other sources, other inscriptions also, like Hathi Gumfa inscription of King Kharwale. Clear? Ayole inscription of Pulakeshin II. Clear? But in course of time we'll be coming to them. But here you need to understand how important are the inscriptions to understand the ancient Indian history. Clear? So one major inscript source for archaeology, a source under archaeology is science of inscriptions or epigraphy to understand the past traditions of India. Clear? This is one thing. Clear? So you can understand how history has been written. It is not a fiction. It is not a storytelling. Everything that has been written is based on evidences provided by sources. Clear? Now after this, clear, we'll move on to another major archaeological sources after inscription. Clear? Under archaeological category, another major source which has been used largely, clear, are large number of coins found beneath the surface right from ancient times. Clear? The study of coins in history is known as numismatics. Clear? As the study of inscriptions is known as epigraphy, the study of coins is known as numismatics. Clear? And why coins are very important source for historical reconstruction. Clear? Normally the idea comes, if coins are found, it will indicate economic wealth and prosperity. Clear? But the point is, clear, coins does not indicate only economic wealth and prosperity, trade and commerce. Coins also indicate the political range of the rulers. Clear? Because coins were circulated only in the jurisdiction of the rulers. Clear? If you find different coin just after some area, some boundary, it means that the rule of particular ruler ended and the rule of another ruler started. Clear? In fact, coins are the symbols of political sovereignty also. Clear? So coins are not only the source for basically trade and commerce or economic prosperity, coins are also the source for understanding the political sovereignty and jurisdiction of the rulers. Clear? In fact, in medieval times we use a sort of term, clear, sikka chalna. Clear? Till the time your sikka was circulating, you had a political rule. From the point your sikka was not accepted, it means your sovereignty was not accepted. Clear? In fact, in Persian, clear, the term for coins was sikka. Clear? So sikka was circulated by the rulers. So sikka is not only a sign for economic prosperity, showing trade and commerce, it is also a sign of political sovereignty and jurisdiction. Clear? Now, how coins has been used as a source for historical reconstruction, we'll just understand this. Clear? Just understand about coins as a next major source under archaeology, the study of coins also known as the science of numismatics. Clear? First of all, clear, the earliest evidence of coins in ancient India is available around 5th century BC. Clear? These coins were known as the punch-marked coins. Why? Certain symbols were punched on those coins. Clear? And these symbols were punched to show royalty of the ruler. Clear? And to ensure acceptability of the coins. Clear? So these coins were basically known as punch-marked coins. Clear? These coins were largely made in silver and to some extent in copper. Clear? Anyway, copper was found in India right from prehistoric times. The most important region for copper was the region of Rajasthan, that is the Khetri mines. Clear? So copper was easily available in India. Tin or rather silver was imported from other parts and silver coins were also circulated. These were known as punch-marked coins. Clear? Now, one thing to be understood, why coins from this period? Why not before this? Clear? Coins were circulated for the first time around 5th century BC because large number of urban centers emerged in the Gangetic plain around 5th century BC. Clear? Urbanization depends not only on agriculture. Urbanization depends on diverse economic activities like trade and commerce. And to promote trade and commerce, you need certain medium of transactions. Clear? So obviously the rulers began to issue punch-marked coins from 5th century BC. Clear? What is the importance of these coins? Clear? These coins indicate trade and commerce. These coins indicate the political jurisdiction, and more importantly, clear, these coins indicate that economy was not dependent only on agriculture. Economy was flourishing through trade and commerce. It also indicated the political boundaries of the rulers. And why these political boundaries are very important at this time? Because during 5th century BC, we had 16 large kingdoms in the Gangetic plains of India. These 16 large kingdoms being known as Mahajanpads. Clear? And among those Mahajanpads, the most important Mahajanpad was Magad with its capital at Rajgriha, then followed by Patliputra. Clear? The coins enable us to define the political boundaries of 16 Mahajanpads, mostly confined in Middle Gangetic plain. So coin serves a very important purpose to know economy and as well as political domain. This is one example. Clear? After this, clear, coins began to be circulated in pure hard metal. Clear? With arrival of Central Asian rulers, as we had discussed right now, with the decline of Mauryans, several Central Asian tribes entered India, and one among them was basically the Indo-Greeks. Indo-Greeks were followed by the Shakas, Shakas were followed by Parthians, and Parthians were followed by Kushans. Clear? When Indo-Greeks came to India from North Afghanistan, they brought gold from Central Asia, Afghanistan, and they were the first one to issue gold coins in India. Gold was not mined in India in sufficient amount, and gold coins were used for the first time by Indo-Greeks in India. Clear? This marked the beginning of gold currencies in India in the field of numismatics. Clear? After Shakas, Kushans came to India, they brought more amount of gold to India. Clear? That led to economic prosperity, and Kushan ruler Kanishk was able to establish or promote gold coins with highest metallic purity. He also circulated copper currency, and that indicate basically that monetization of Indian economy reached its glory under the Kushans. Clear? Because gold coins with highest metallic purity, copper coins were circulated by Kushan ruler Kanishk. Clear? But why this is very important? Clear? Not only for economy, economic vibrancy came, there's no doubt. He promoted art and culture also largely in India. He accepted Buddhism. He promoted Gandhar school of art. He promoted Mathura school of art and many things in India. Clear? But what is the real importance of these coins? Clear? Real importance is strategic, which is known through coins only. Clear? Since gold was not found in India, historians began to question, clear, why would Kanishk bring all these coins from Central Asia to India? And in Central Asia also, how come such a huge amount of gold came, which was brought to India by Kanishk? Clear? In fact, at that time only, there was a flourishing trade across Central Asia going on between two large empires. Clear? One was the Chinese Empire in the Eastern world, another was the Romans in the European world. Clear? And the trade which they operated between them through Central Asia, this trade was largely in silk, which was produced from China. Clear? Silk was exported by China through Central Asia to Romans. Romans paid back to Chinese in terms of pure gold bullion, pure gold metal. Clear? And this flourishing trade, which was operated between Chinese and Romans across Central Asia, resulted into a trade route which since then only came to be known as mainland Silk Route. Clear? Mainland Silk Route, which is very much in use, where China is asserting very strongly these days by constructing One Belt, One Road initiative. Clear? This was existing since then, and just because of the flourishing silk trade, clear, Kushan controlled Central Asia and collected toll charges from both Chinese and Romans. This toll charges were also collected in terms of gold, and he brought gold to India. He issued largest number of coins with highest metallic purity, and monetization reached its peak. Clear? So coins here enable us to understand not only domestic developments within India, it enables to understand about flourishing silk trade between Chinese and Romans, in which the third party was the Kushan ruler Kanishk. Clear? This is the importance of numismatics here. Clear? And that is why as soon as the rule of Kushan ended, the inflow of gold from Central Asia stopped. Clear? And when inflow of gold coins stopped in India, clear, gold currencies could not be circulated. It is a unique thing to understand. Clear? After them, Guptas began to rule in North India. Guptas are known for issuing maximum number of gold coins. Clear? So volume wise, maximum number of gold coins issued by Guptas. But negative thing is, these Gupta coins were debased coins. They contain impurities. Clear? They are not metallic pure as the pure coins of Kushans, which indicate that even though they minted the coins again, they mixed impurities and other metals in these coins, because gold inflow stopped from Central Asia. Clear? So obviously Guptas are known for issuing maximum number of gold coins, but not as pure as the gold coins of the Kushans. Clear? So 2 or 3 things to be known about numismatics is, clear, the first gold coins to be issued in India by Indo-Greeks, the gold coins with highest metallic purity to be issued by Kushans, the maximum number of gold coins to be issued by Guptas, but these coins contain impurities. Clear? Because gold inflow stopped in India, and during Gupta period we'll see economy, rather than relying on trade and commerce, now became more dependent on agriculture, and a new trend was started in economy known as feudalism in India. Feudal sentiment starts with Guptas only, which is largely dependent on agriculture. Clear? All this is known through coins. We can reconstruct the entire history through coins. Clear? And not only basically the economic history, strategic issues can also be known through coins in India. Science of numismatics, the science of coins. Importance can be understood, clear. And now as we proceed, clear, inscriptions are supplemented with coins. Coins and inscriptions should be supplemented with other sources, clear. And with cross examination of all the sources, we write something conclusive in history. So history is based on evidence. It's a scientific discipline. If anything is said without sources, history is nothing but fiction, clear. It's not storytelling, it's not fiction. It's based on concrete evidences and sources, even cross examination of sources also. Is this clear? It's fine, clear. In fact, very important example I'll let you know when we'll come to literary sources, clear. There was a ruler in ancient India, Harshvardhan, clear. There was a court poet of Harshvardhan, Ban Bhatt, clear. He wrote the biography of Harshvardhan in Sanskrit. The biography is titled as Harshcharitra, clear. In this biography, Harshcharitra, clear, when anyone was asked to write biography, what was his sole objective? It was a paid service, and anyone who wrote the biography was basically to glorify the master, clear. In Harshcharitra, Ban Bhatt has written, Harshvardhan was a very powerful ruler. Harshvardhan ruled over the entire northern part of India. Harshvardhan defeated every rulers of India, and his duty was to glorify the master. His duty was also to conceal the weaknesses of the master, not to expose the weaknesses, clear. And what does he write, clear? Ban Bhatt write in the biography of Harshvardhan that Harshvardhan defeated all the rulers of North India, but could not defeat the ruler of South India, Pulakeshin II, clear. This is the way of defending your master, that is concealing his weakness. But the reality is Harshvardhan got defeated by Pulakeshin II on the banks of river Narmada, clear. And this is mentioned in inscription of Pulakeshin II known as Ayole inscription found in modern Karnataka. That is why we say inscriptions are more authentic than literary sources, clear. So obviously cross examination is mandatory, clear. So anyone who wrote anything, we cannot believe blindly. We have to cross examine also, clear. And in this cross examination it becomes very clear Harshvardhan got defeated by Pulakeshin II. But what does Ban Bhatt write? He could not defeat Pulakeshin II. He did not write that he got defeated by Pulakeshin II. This is the way of defending your master. That's a paid service, clear. In fact, the biggest sycophant in this category who glorified the master to the highest point of imagination history, clear. That greatest sycophant of Indian history is Abul Fazl, who wrote the biography of Akbar, clear. In fact, he wrote every single line to glorify Akbar. Akbar was not great in himself. Akbar's greatness was because of his Navratna, and among the Navratna, one Ratna was Abul Fazl, clear. And as we all know, Akbar was thoroughly illiterate, clear. So he got his entire biography written in front of him. He first of all wanted the line to be dictated to him. If he approved, then only the line was written, clear. So when Abul Fazl used to dictate a line to him, clear, and Abul Fazl realized his eyebrows are shifting, he's not comfortable with this line. Abul Fazl used to change the line immediately, clear. He wrote only those lines which was comfortably accepted by Akbar, clear. Akbar became great not because of himself. Akbar became great because of Abul Fazl, clear. This things needs to be written in history. So obviously we have to cross-examine the account of Abul Fazl with other accounts. We cannot totally rely on Akbarnama of Abul Fazl. You need to develop the sense of historiography, how history has been written. We have to understand through sources. Coming to coins, coming to science of numismatics, clear. Right here, next, clear. Right, apart from inscriptions, another major source of ancient Indian history, are the coins, and the study of coins known as numismatics. Study of coins known as numismatics. 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 I hope you can write numismatics. The study of coins known as numismatics, clear. Like the earliest coins to be circulated the earliest coins to be circulated were the punch-marked coins. Punch-marked coins around 5th century BC. Punch-marked coins around 5th century BC. Now write the importance in history. Clear? That these coins enable us to understand. These coins enable us to understand economic conditions, trade and commerce, to understand economic conditions as well as the political limits, of 16 large kingdoms, 16 large kingdoms known as Mahajanpads. We'll come to them elaborately. This time in prelims we had one question on Mahajanpads. Clear? Okay, 16 large kingdoms or Mahajanpads. Clear? So there were 50, most of them confined in Gangetic Plains. Clear? Large kingdoms, one, the most important being Magadh. Clear? We'll come to the rise of Magadh. Clear? So coins enable us to understand even political jurisdiction. Clear? Change paragraph. Right. After the decline of Mauryan Empire, Central Asian tribes entered India. Clear? Right. The first among them were Indo-Greeks. They came from North Afghanistan, Bactria. They're also known as Bactrian Greeks. Clear? The first among them were Indo-Greeks, who brought pure gold. From North Afghanistan. Clear? Like they became the first rulers. To issue gold coins in India. First rulers to issue gold coins in India. Clear? Right, next. Clear? Indo-Greeks were followed by the Kushans. Indo-Greeks were immediately followed by Shakas, Shakas followed by Kushans. Clear? Indo-Greeks were followed by the Kushans, who participated, this is very important, who participated in the Silk trade. Between Chinese and the Romans. Silk trade between the Chinese and the Romans. Silk trade, mainland Silk Road. Clear? Romans. Clear? That Kushans collected gold from Chinese and Romans. Kushans collected gold from Chinese and Romans and minted, M-I-N-T-D, and minted gold coins with highest metallic purity. Minted gold coins with highest metallic purity, pure gold. Metallic purity. Metallic clear. That in fact, Indian economy witnessed high degree of high degree of monetization, high degree of monetization, which indirectly highlights the strategic role played by Kushans. They control Central Asia. Highlight a strategic role played by Kushans. In fact, it's a very important piece of information you all should know. We'll be using in history. Clear? In fact, Kanishk, the Kushan ruler, is the only ruler of entire Indian history. I'm talking about entire Indian history, including medieval India. Clear? He is the only ruler who maintained control over large parts of Central Asia, integrated Central Asia with North India. Clear? Not even the medieval monarchs. Clear? Not even the sultans of Delhi, nor even the Mughals also. Clear? In fact, Kanishk is the only ruler who maintained control over Central Asia, which could not be done even by medieval monarchs, because most of the medieval monarchs came from Central Asia only. Clear? None of them could maintain control over Central Asia except Kanishk. That is why, clear, in order to control Central Asia on the one hand and North India on the other hand, clear, Kanishk established his two capitals simultaneously. Clear? One capital was the city known as Purushapur or Pushkalavati. Clear? The city of Purushapur or Pushkalavati is identified with modern Peshawar in Pakistan. Clear? And his second capital was in northern part of India, and this capital was Mathura. Clear? He had two capitals because he had to control North India on the one hand through Mathura and Central Asia through the city of Purushapur or Peshawar. Clear? He is the only ruler who maintained control over Central Asia, not even the medieval monarchs. He collected tolls from Chinese and Romans, and that led to vibrancy in Indian economy with pure gold entering into India. Monetization at its peak. Clear? After this, the contact with Central Asia was lost. Guptas, even though minted the maximum number of gold coins, but these coins contain significant amount of impurities. Clear? Which indicate economy was not dependent on trade and commerce, that is the outside trade. The economy was dependent more on agriculture, which is highlighted through feudal sentiments. Clear? Coins indicate indirect information on feudalism as well. Clear? Right here only. Clear? After the rule of the Kushans, clear, contact with Central Asia was lost. Contact with Central Asia was lost. And inflow of gold was disrupted. Inflow of gold was disrupted. Was stopped. Was disrupted. Clear? Right. Consequently, the Guptas minted maximum number of gold coins. Minted maximum number of gold coins. But marked by significant impurities. Clear? That indicates shift towards from trade to agriculture. Clear? Feudal sentiments. We'll come to feudalism. Clear? So, importance of coins. This all enables us to understand strategic issues related to ancient Indian history. Clear? Another important thing that we are not supposed to write, but you should know. Clear? Related to early medieval phase. Very interesting thing. Clear? In fact, in early medieval phase, a Central Asian warrior attacked India for political expansion. This ruler was from North Afghanistan, known as the region of Ghur. Clear? This ruler was known as Muhammad Ghuri, also known as Muhammad bin Sam. Clear? Muhammad Ghuri attacked India and he clashed with the Rajput forces led by Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj Chauhan was the ruler from Ajmer. Clear? Two battles were fought between Muhammad Ghuri and Prithviraj Chauhan. Both the battles were fought in the same battlefield of Tarain near Delhi. Clear? In the first battle, Muhammad bin Sam was defeated. He went back to Central Asia. Clear? In the second battle, just after a few months, clear, in 1192, Muhammad Ghuri or Muhammad bin Sam defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. Clear? And when he defeated, he allowed Prithviraj Chauhan to rule over Ajmer. Clear? He allowed him to rule over Ajmer. Clear? And how do we know? Clear? Coins has been found from Ajmer. Clear? And on these coins, clear, on the one side we have the name of Prithviraj Chauhan. On the other side, there's overstrucking of name and we have the name of Muhammad bin Sam, which means that with consent of Muhammad bin Sam, Prithviraj Chauhan continued to rule over Ajmer. Clear? This is the evidence. Why this becomes very important? Why numismatics becomes important? Clear? If these coins could not have been found, we were bound to believe on one literary source. Clear? And that literary source was the biography of Prithviraj Chauhan, written by his court poet Chandrabardai, which is known as Prithviraj Raso. It is the first work of Indian history written in Hindi language. Clear? And what does it write? Clear? In order to glorify his master, Prithviraj Chauhan, he said that after defeating Prithviraj Chauhan, Muhammad Ghuri took him to Central Asia, where his body was divided into 24 pieces by Muhammad Ghuri, just to glorify that Prithviraj Chauhan was brave enough and he went to Central Asia after being defeated rather than to stay in India. Clear? But this cannot be accepted. Why? Archaeological evidences are more authentic than literary sources. Clear? And biographies, literary sources are anyway glorified account. Clear? We have seen in context of Harshvardhan also, we are seeing in the context of Prithviraj Chauhan as well. Clear? Coins are more authentic and coins indicate that Prithviraj Chauhan was allowed to rule for some time over the region of Ajmer before he was killed. Clear? So he was not taken to Central Asia and it is counted by numismatics rather than literary source. Clear? So importance of coins also comes into picture with respect to Prithviraj Chauhan and his conflict with Muhammad bin Sam, also known as Muhammad Ghuri. Clear? So numismatics are important to recorrect many things in history. It is not important only for economic information. Clear? This is coins, this is numismatics, this also comes under archaeological evidences because there has been unearthed after excavating the surfaces in or parts in different parts of the country. Clear? This is coins. Clear? Apart from coins, clear, the next major archaeological source, clear, which is used for historical reconstruction is largely the tools, the products which was produced by human beings through their human effort, not by any mechanical device. In ancient India, we didn't have much mechanical device. Clear? Anything which is produced by human beings, clear, through their own effort, through manual effort, clear, these are known as artifacts. Clear? So artifacts are those objects which are produced by human beings, not by any mechanical device, but by human effort. Such articles produced by human effort are known as artifacts. Clear? And these artifacts became very important to understand history of India from ancient times. Clear? Among the artifacts, the earliest thing that has been found in India by historians and archaeologists, these are large number of tools. Clear? Tools produced by the people largely to hunt animals for survival. Clear? In fact, history is broadly divided into three phases. Clear? First is known as prehistory, then it is followed by proto-history, and then it is followed by history. Clear? And this division is also based on sources. Clear? Prehistory is that part, earliest part of human evolution, which is based only on archaeological sources. Clear? There is no written record. That is known as prehistory. Clear? Prehistory is followed by history, which starts with pure historical accounts or written accounts. Clear? So when literary sources are available, from here we count the beginning of real history. Clear? Before that, if the history is based only on archaeological sources, it is known as prehistory. Clear? And in Indian context, between prehistory on the one hand, history on the other hand, we have a transitory phase which is known as proto-history. Why proto-history? This was a phase when people learned the art of writing. Clear? But the script has not been deciphered till date. Clear? And this proto-historical phase was basically corresponding with Indus Valley civilization. Clear? People developed the art of writing. Clear? They developed their own script which is known as pictographic script. But till date, pictographic script has not been deciphered. Clear? Recently, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, clear, has granted basically 10 lakh rupees as a prize money for anyone, rather 1 million rupee for anyone who is able to decipher the pictographic script. Clear? This script was there in Indus Valley and it could not be deciphered. It is known as proto-historical phase. Clear? Now, obviously, in the prehistorical phase, when archaeological sources was the only one, clear, obviously we need to know about tools produced by the people at the time, because with these tools only we can understand what was the life pattern, what was the hunting pattern, how they survived in prehistorical phase. Clear? And when we come to archaeological sources like the tools, clear, we have found large number of stone tools right from the prehistoric phase, which is known as Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic. Paleo means old, Meso means middle, Neo means new. Lithic means stone. It's known as lithic phase or stone phase. Clear? And large number of stone tools has been found. Stone tools like hand axes, kulhari, clear? Then choppers and cleavers. Clear? Hand axes to basically hunt the animals, to kill the animals. Clear? The cleavers are required for removing the skin from the flesh of the animals or separating the skin from the flesh of the animals. And choppers were needed to divide the flesh of the animal into smaller pieces for consumption. Clear? That was the only way to survive. Clear? And large number of stone tools has been found which were produced by human beings. Clear? These tools are known as artifacts. Clear? And these artifacts enables us to understand what was the pattern of living, which were the animals hunted. If large stone tools are there, it means that large basically animals were hunted. If smaller tools are there, smaller animals were hunted, like microliths. Clear? In Paleolithic, large stone tools are found. In Mesolithic, microliths are found. That is smaller stone tools, which means now smaller animals began to be hunted for survival. Clear? These artifacts enable us to understand transition of human life from hunting gathering phase, whereby they started with hunting of large animals and then they moved to hunting smaller animals for survival. Clear? That's one thing. Clear? When after hunting gathering phase continued, people also started producing food grains or agriculture. Clear? And when they began to practice agriculture, another artifacts began to be produced, and we have found through archaeological evidences. Clear? What are these artifacts after? Tools. Clear? The next artifacts are large number of potteries found. Clear? And these potteries are found from Neolithic phase when agriculture began to be produced. Clear? Now, why potteries? Clear? Potteries because they needed to store surplus food grains to be used in coming time, and this surplus food grains could be stored only in potteries. Clear? They made mud potteries initially, and these potteries are found from different phases. Clear? First of all, they were handmade potteries. Later on, we find sophisticated wheel-turned potteries. Clear? And these potteries marked by different colors also, like the painted grey ware, the black and red ware, the northern black polished ware, which indicate that people learned sophistication in terms of pottery as they began to store food grains in these potteries. Clear? So, in terms of artifacts, we have found large number of stone tools. We have also found large number of potteries. Clear? And these enable us to know more and more about the past traditions of India. Concept is clear. Tools and potteries. It all comes under artifacts. Artifacts means something produced not by mechanical device but by human effort. Is it clear? Coming to artifacts now. Clear? Right. Next paragraph. Clear? Right. The next major archaeological source. The next major archaeological source archaeological source are the artifacts produced by the people through human effort, manually, through human effort. Clear? That in fact, the entire prehistory, before historical phase, entire prehistory is based on stone artifacts or the tools, based on stone artifacts or the tools which were produced to hunt large animals, Clear? That these tools were produced through the technique of flaking, F-L-A-K-I-N-G, through the technique of flaking. Clear? This is basically hand axes, clear? Through the hand technique of flaking. What do you understand by flaking? Mechanical industry was not there to produce stone tools. Human effort was needed. What do you mean by flaking? F-L-A-K-I-N-G. What is the literal meaning of the word flakes? What is flake? What are flakes? Small chips, sharp chips, yes, chips and all. That's known as flaking. Okay, chips. How the chips comes into picture? How do you produce chips? You use chips even now in construction activities. How the chips made? Now, as of now, crushers. At those times there were no crushers. How could then chips be made? Because obviously they were given shapes. Because until the shapes were given to stones, how could you hunt animals? You needed basically this kind of equipment to hunt animals. This is known as hand axes. Clear? Then you needed some sharp stone tools whereby they acted as cleavers. Cleavers means to separate the skin from the flesh of the animal. The skin cannot be consumed. Flesh can be consumed. Clear? Once the flesh was segregated, the flesh was to be divided into smaller pieces. For that it needed choppers. Clear? These things are there. Stones were to be used for, but stones are always in flat shape. With this flat shape, sharp things cannot be done, sharp work cannot be done. Then how this gave the sharp shape? How these were given the shapes? Flecking. What is flecking? See, the saying goes, clear? History is very logical, clear? Just place yourself in that scenario, clear? In fact, the saying goes, necessity is the mother of all inventions. Clear? If you feel the necessity of anything, you will go for such any invention or innovation. Clear? Necessity is the mother of all invention. What was the necessity? To survive. How to survive? To kill animals. How to kill animals? The stones found in their surrounding. That was the only thing. Clear? How to use the stones? Obviously, as it is, it could not be used. It was in the form of boulders. Clear? It had to be given sharp edges. Clear? They started the technique of flaking. What does this flaking means? Clear? They took some stone boulders, clear, and they began to hit the stone boulders against large stone rocks, clear, so that in the technique of flaking, the outer layers of the rock are loose relatively, clear, and the outer layers will automatically get removed if you strike them against other surface, clear. This technique of removing the outer and loose layer of the rock, clear, through hitting, clear, this is known as flaking, clear. Flaking was another technique. Once this rock was broken and given a rather manageable shape, now these rocks began to be rubbed against each other in order to give desired shape, clear. This technique is known as concept of rubbing, clear. Rubbing also leads to further removal of outermost layer which is relatively loose. Clear? The inner layer is very strong and the other very dense. Clear? It cannot be removed easily, but you can remove the outer layer which is loose. Clear? So by rubbing and by hitting the stroke against other rock surface, you remove the outer layer, and in course of time you give desired shape to the stone, and that results, that technique is known as flecking. Clear? So crushers were not there at the time. Clear? But then also they produced sharp stone tools. Clear? And it took a long time. Clear? And that is why in the long time they were able to produce sharper stone tools like hand axes, clavers and choppers, and began to hunt animals. Clear? These stone tools therefore in turn reflect how human beings started to evolve, how they struggled to survive, and therefore how they started to sophisticate on the stone and lithic technology. Clear? This became a very important information derived from stone tools. We don't have any literary evidences in prehistory, and entire prehistory is based on these stone tools, and therefore it is known as Stone Age culture in India. This is the technique of flecking. Clear? Very important one. Clear? Right, next, clear? Major stone artifacts or stone tools. Major stone artifacts were produced by hitting against other rock surface, by hitting against other rock surface, as well as rubbing, to remove the outermost loose layer, Clear? Right. The people produced stone implements like hand axes, clavers and choppers. The people produce stone implements like hand axes, clavers and choppers. Purpose is very clear. One is to kill the animal in one single go. Second is to separate skin from flesh. Third is to divide flesh into smaller pieces. Clear? Hand axes, clavers and choppers. Clear? Right. In fact, these artifacts are the only source. These artifacts are the only source to know about the prehistory, to know about prehistory. Very important one. We cannot deny this. Clear? Now change paragraph now. Clear? Right. The hunting and gathering phase. The hunting and gathering phase. The hunting and gathering phase was followed by agriculture, food production, followed by agriculture that led to the production of potteries, different types of potteries, that led to the production of potteries. Clear? Right. Next, in order to store surplus food grains, in order to store surplus food grains, clear? Potteries were made. Surplus food grains, potteries were made regularly. Clear? Regularly, which enable us to know the food grains cultivated by the people. food grains cultivated by the people. Cultivated. How do we know? Food grains are perishable. How do we know that these were the food grains stored in this potteries? How do we know this thing? Seeds. Rice. Rice basically when before it is threshed, it is in the form of containing rice husk. Clear? Rice was stored in the form of rice husk. Clear? There are marks of rice husk in the inner layer of the potteries. Clear? When you find the mark of rice husk, it indicates that paddy was cultivated, rice was cultivated. Clear? When wheat was kept in flour with both between threshing. Clear? In fact, we have the mark of those wheat in the inner layer of the potteries. We come to know wheat was also cultivated. Clear? So depending on the mark on the inner layer of the potteries, we come to know what were the food grains cultivated by the people, which enable us to know about agricultural practices in the prehistory and the proto-historical phase. Clear? So potteries is one thing. There are different varieties of potteries with colors: painted grey ware, black and red ware, northern black polished ware. Clear? But potteries are the major artifacts to know about past traditions of India. Clear? Within artifacts only will come to one another thing. Clear? And that another important thing is, clear, during Indus Valley civilization, which was proto-historical phase, clear, certain religious artifacts were made by the people through which we know about their religious beliefs and practices. Clear? In fact, from Indus Valley civilization, we have large number of artifacts made with terracotta. I hope understand terracotta. Terracotta is mixing of mud and clay. Clear? After mixing mud and clay along with water, they made some objects known as terracotta objects through hand. Clear? These artifacts are known as terracotta artifacts. Clear? And among the terracotta artifacts, the most important thing is large number of figurines of mother goddesses. Clear? Mother goddesses were worshipped by Indus Valley people. And what is the significance of this artifact? Clear? Mother goddesses were worshipped as fertility goddesses by Indus Valley people because plants are shown growing from the embryos of mother goddesses, which means that they worshipped mother goddesses as fertility goddesses. Clear? Which indicate that agriculture was their main thing, and they worshipped mother goddesses to maintain the fertility of the soil or agricultural land. Clear? That's one thing. Clear? In the terracotta artifacts, the people also produce large number of seals. Clear? And in many of the seals they depict a male divinity. Clear? This male divinity itself is very important. Why? Because this male divinity is shown in a yogic posture. Clear? He is surrounded by animals on all the sides. Clear? These animals are elephant, tiger, rhinoceros, buffalo, and 2 deer or antelope near his feet. Clear? And just because he is surrounded by animals, this god is identified as Pashupati Mahadev, or the god of animals. Clear? Why god of animals? Livestock is important for agriculture. Clear? This was Pashupati Mahadev. Wherever these seals has been found, large number of phallus symbols are found. Clear? Phallus symbols are basically shivling, which was also made through human effort. Clear? And that is why Pashupati Mahadev was later identified as proto-Shiv, because we all know that worship of phallus symbols are intimately connected with worship of Lord Shiv. Clear? Which clearly indicate, clear, that traces of Hinduism can be traced back to Indus Valley civilization, and all these informations can be derived only from artifacts produced by the Indus Valley people in mud and clay, which are known as terracotta artifacts. Clear? So first are tools, then we have potteries, and then we have terracotta artifacts. Clear? Very important one. It's very important to know about the past traditions. Clear? Right, next paragraph. Clear? Among the artifacts, among the artifacts, clear? Artifacts, there were large number of terracotta artifacts, large number of terracotta artifacts produced since the Indus Valley civilization, since the Indus Valley civilization. Terracotta means mud and clay. Indus Valley civilization. Even now, terracotta has come into fashion these days. Clear? In houses, we decorate many things with terracotta objects. Clear? So, terracotta materials. Clear? Right. The most important terracotta artifacts. The most important terracotta artifacts was of mother goddesses, mother goddesses. Clear? Right. These artifacts indicate plants growing from the embryo, as mother goddesses were worshipped as fertility goddesses. As mother goddesses were worshipped as fertility goddesses. Very important one throughout Indus Valley. Clear? Change paragraph. Clear? Like during Indus Valley civilization, large number of terracotta seals, has been found. Terracotta seals has been found, which indicate a male divinity, Clear? Right. The god is depicted. In a yogic posture. The god is depicted in a yogic posture. Surrounded by animals. Yogic posture surrounded by animals like elephant, tiger, rhinoceros, buffalo, elephant, tiger, rhinoceros, buffalo, and deer, antelope, and deer, D-E-E-R, and deer. Clear? That this god is identified as Pashupati Mahadev, or the god of animals. Pashu means animals. Identified as Pashupati Mahadev, or the god of animals. Correct? Right. Around the seals, this is very important. Around the seals, several phallus symbols are also found. That is Shivling. Several phallus symbols are also found. And Pashupati Mahadev is considered to be proto-Shiv, earlier Shiv. Pashupati Mahadev is considered to be proto-Shiv, P-R-O-T-O, earlier form of Lord Shiv, proto-Shiv. Now, what is the conclusion? Conclusion is Why Hinduism is the world's oldest religion? Why we claim? Clear? Because traces of Hinduism is from Indus Valley civilization. No formal religion was there in the world at that point of time. It was only Hinduism. Clear? That these terracotta artifacts, like these terracotta artifacts indicate the beginning of Hinduism, indicate the beginning of Hinduism from Indus Valley civilization. Beginning of Hinduism from Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization. Clear? Important thing, artifacts, clear. So tools also, potteries also, artifacts also. Clear? Now lastly, another thing, clear. Through archaeological excavations, clear, we have also found large number of buildings. Clear? In fact, buildings and monuments are not taken under archaeology because they are on above the surface. Clear? But at the same time, clear, there were large number of buildings, leave aside buildings, large number of cities altogether, which was found beneath the surface through excavation. The biggest example is Indus Valley civilization. Clear? So monuments and buildings are also counted under archaeological sources, which has been found beneath the surface, not those monuments and buildings which are above the surface. Clear? Archaeology means digging the surface and finding the object. Clear? And therefore, under archaeological sources, we have large number of cities, including large number of monuments. Clear? Which has been unearthed, which has been found beneath the surface. Clear? In fact, the entire Indus Valley civilization has been excavated in the Indus region, where large number of cities like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Kalibangan, Lothal has been found. Clear? And it indicates that these were not only monuments, they had a planned city network which was there at that point of time, which submerged in course of time, and that has been found through excavation. Those monuments can be taken as archaeological sources. Clear? In fact, Indus Valley civilization, the largest city within Indus Valley civilization was Mohenjo-daro. Clear? And in Mohenjo-daro, we have unearthed large number of monuments, including a great granary to store surplus food grains. At Mohenjo-daro, we have also found a large great bath, which was meant for community bathing. Clear? At Mohenjo-daro, we have found other large monuments as well, and that indicate that these monuments found through archaeology can also help us to understand about Indus Valley civilization. Similar monuments has been found at Harappa also. In fact, in a single row, we have found as many as 6 granaries. Clear? In the city of Lothal, we have found basically a large dockyard. That indicate Lothal acted as a port city between Indus Valley on the one hand, Mesopotamian civilization of West Asia on the other hand. Clear? In fact, at Lothal, we have even unearthed large number of burials. Clear? And Lothal had a very distinct burial system because in a single grave, we have found more than one skeleton, which indicate they followed the concept of double burial or multiple burial. Clear? Since more than one skeleton is found from a single grave, it indicates rate of human casualty was high in Lothal, and due to paucity of space. Clear? When large number of people died together, they were buried in the single grave because skeletons are found in more than one number in single grave. Clear? All these informations come through archaeological evidences, and these are the monuments not above the surface. These are the monuments found through archaeological evidences. Clear? These are also very important source to reconstruct the historical past, especially the urban culture of Indus Valley civilization. There are monuments also, not all the monuments, but monuments beneath the surface. Clear? Right, next. Clear? Lastly, another major archaeological source. Lastly, another major archaeological source were the cities and monuments. excavated, cities and monuments excavated in the Indus Valley region. In the Indus Valley region. Indus Valley region. Clear? Right. In the right. The cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, the cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, etc. has been excavated, Clear? Like these cities are known for proper planning. These cities are known for proper planning, like the grid pattern, block pattern. Proper planning like the grid pattern. That is, roads intersected each other at right angles. Clear? Clear? Proper planning like the grid pattern. GRID. Proper planning like the grid pattern. Cities are divided into blocks. Clear? Proper planning of grid pattern, comma, developed drainage system, along with courtyard and domestic bathrooms. Courtyard is angan, along with courtyard and domestic bathrooms. City planning, bathrooms. Okay, right. The city of Mohenjo-daro. The city of Mohenjo-daro was known for several monuments. Like the Great Granary, and the Great Bath. Great Granary and the Great Bath. Flight of steps led to common pool of water. Clear? Great Granary and the Great Bath. Clear? That these structures were constructed. With burnt bricks, baked bricks. These structures were constructed with burnt bricks, B-U-R-N-T, burnt bricks of uniform size. Size did not vary. Burnt bricks of uniform size. Size even never changed. Clear? Burnt bricks of uniform size. Clear? Right. Similarly, at Lothal, a large dockyard. Was found. To anchor ships. Large dockyard was found to anchor ships. Major ones, the many things will come to Indus Valley. Clear? These are the major ones. Clear? Right. All these evidences indicate that Indus Valley civilization was supported by flourishing agriculture, as well as external trade, especially with Mesopotamia, Dockyard has been found at Lothal. Okay? So, major sources to reconstruct the history: Burial system also will come. We have double burial or multiple burials at Lothal. Clear? In fact, the new city, recently also excavations taken place. That city is Rakhigadi. Rakhigadi is located in Haryana. Clear? In fact, love for sport among the people of Haryana is not new. Large stadium at Rakhigadi has been found from Indus Valley civilization. That indicate that people were involved with sports activities in Haryana right from Indus Valley civilization. Clear? So large number of major developments has been found in these cities. Clear? So all these are archaeological sources. These archaeological sources enable us to know more and more about the past traditions of India. Nothing is said in history without evidences. Clear? Now, apart from archaeological sources, we have large number of literary sources as well. Clear? We cross-examine and supplement each other to arrive at valid conclusion. Clear? We'll come to literary sources as well related to ancient Indian history. Clear? We'll start with the religious literature, including Rigved, Samved, Yajurved and Tharved. We'll discuss about secular literature, we'll discuss about scientific literature, and we'll also discuss about the literature written by foreign travelers in ancient India like Buddhist pilgrims, Pahyan, Yuansang, Ising and others like Megasthenes, who also came from the Greek world. Clear? They also wrote elaborately about India. Their accounts are also very important to reconstruct ancient Indian history. Clear? Is this clear? Archaeological evidences, how do we use them in writing history? Have this concept of sources, then we'll proceed with historical development. Clear? Anything that needs to be asked till the point we had done, anything which was not clear, anything that needs to be elaborated? Are the sources clear? We'll come to the sources first of all. Clear? First of all, we discussed about inscriptions, science of epigraphy. This is the most authentic one. Clear? Then we come to coins or numismatics. We had discussed importance not only economically, politically as well. Then we come to artifacts. Artifacts are very important. First are the tools, especially the lithic ones, then the potteries, and then the terracottas as well. Clear? Then we have basically the monuments, monuments found beneath the surface. All these have been excavated in course of time. Clear? This is one thing. One last thing. Clear? When all these sources were found, clear, how did we fix the timeline of these sources? How do we come to know this source belonged to Indus Valley, this source belonged to prehistory, this source belonged to historical phase? Clear? There has been one technique applied which we need to apply and discuss here itself related to archaeological sources. Clear? This scientific technique to fix the timeline and chronology is known as carbon dating method. Clear? What is this carbon dating method? Clear? And when these sources are found, along with the sources, human skeletons are also found. Clear? And we have been studying those human skeletons to fix the amount of time or the chronology of major evidences. Clear? Now, what is carbon dating method? Clear? When every living creature, including human beings, clear, they survive. Clear? They keep on consuming carbon from the atmosphere at a consistent rate. Clear? So every human being, every creature will consume atmospheric carbon at a consistent pace till the person is alive. Clear? As the person dies, clear, the accumulated carbon in his body starts to get decomposed. Clear? The rate of decomposition of that carbon or isotope of carbon is also at a consistent pace. Clear? This is the technique used in carbon dating method. Clear? It has been estimated that out of the total accumulated carbon in human body, human skeleton, clear, half of it get accumulated in 5,568 years. Clear? This is known as half-life. Clear? And after you calculate half-life of the carbon, then you calculate further half decomposition of the carbon again in 5,568 years. Clear? You keep on multiplying 5,568 years with the layer of decomposition and you arrive at exact date. Clear? This technique of fixing the timeline marked by the study of human skeleton, this technique is scientifically known as carbon dating method, which is basically the dating through an isotope of carbon known as C14, which is found in every human being, both during living period as well as after the death also. Clear? This is known as carbon dating method. Clear? Without this, all the sources prove to be irrelevant. Clear? Coming to this technique. Clear? Right, next paragraph. Clear? All the archaeological evidences are fixed. All the archaeological evidences are fixed within a time frame. Are fixed within a time frame. Fixed within a time frame according to the carbon dating method. According to the carbon dating method. Carbon dating method. Clear? Right. When a person is alive, comma, atmospheric carbon is consumed. Atmospheric carbon is consumed at a consistent pace. Atmospheric carbon is consumed at a consistent pace. PAC, consistent pace. Clear? Right. After the death of a person, the accumulated carbon isotope, C14, the accumulated carbon isotope decomposes at a fixed rate. Pace is again fixed rate. Clear? Right. The half amount of carbon decomposes in 5-6-8 years. It's a long time. Decomposes in 5-6-8 years, which is termed as the half-life. Which is termed as the half-life. Clear? Right, next sentence. Clear? Right, by multiplying 5-6-8 years. Multiplying 5-6-8 years with the rate of decomposition. The actual time can be calculated. This carbon dating method. With this, we have fixed the chronology of all archaeological sources. Clear? Right. With this technique, the chronology of the archaeological sources, has been arranged. Without this, it's meaningless. Has been arranged. We don't require for literary sources. Literary sources, the years are mentioned. Clear? Here the years are not mentioned. We have to calculate by scientific method. Clear? Carbon dating method. Clear? Lastly, you have to understand this with respect to fixing the timeline of the archaeological evidences. Clear? So archaeological sources, broadly you understood the things. We'll be using this thing when we proceed with ancient Indian history. Clear? Now next major category comprises of literary sources, and with literary sources, prehistory and proto-history was followed by historical phase. Clear? And this historical phase starts with India, with arrival of Aryans in India, when they composed large number of Sanskrit shlokas which are incorporated in Vedic literature. Clear? We'll discuss about religious literature, we'll discuss about secular literature, we'll discuss about scientific literature, and we'll also discuss about accounts of foreign travelers to India. Clear? We'll come to literary sources. It's clear. We'll start with literary sources tomorrow. Clear? It's fine. Anything that needs to be asked, anything that needs to be clarified, concepts are clear. Okay. So we'll continue with literary sources. We'll start with literary sources.